Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be installing the FitcamX dash cam. This thing, the reason we went with this particular one is it looks very OEM, as you're going to see. The install is super easy to do. It connects to the app via Bluetooth. Nothing but good things about this camera online and on YouTube. So I love how it looks, very sleek, very low profile. You won't even know what's up there. So let me show you how to get it installed and then we'll go over the features. All right, so let's slide the top off. In this little side box, make sure you don't throw that away just thinking it's a spacer. You actually do have parts in there. It looks like the plastic trim tool, our Y harness, and also a USB drive. You get your user manual. The rear camera, if you choose that option, you do not have to get this. And the last piece should be our main piece, which it is, and it's gonna look something like this. So as I mentioned, these are very OEM looking. They're actually specific to each vehicle. They have them for a ton of vehicles, not just Toyotas. So it's going to replace our factory panel. Again, you're not even going to be able to see that camera once you're sitting in the truck, once it's installed. So let's go ahead and get inside the Sequoia and get this started. Hey guys, if you like what you see and you want to pick up one of these FitcamX's, I will put a link down below. We do have a discount code for you, so make sure you check that out. It does help support the channel. I appreciate it. Now back to the install. So before we actually get this installed in the vehicle, let me just give you a quick look at the buttons on it. Obviously the camera itself, we can go ahead and peel that blue wrapper off as soon as we're ready. I'm gonna leave it covered just for now. On the underside, you have your power button, your camera button, and then these three little holes are actually indicator lights. It does come with, I believe it's 128 gig, if I remember correctly. No, I'm sorry, it's a 64 gigabyte micro SD, comes with it. It supports up to a 256, so if that matters to you, you can upgrade the card up to 256 gigabytes. On the underside, you're going to see two different wires coming off there. This is going to be your main camera, and this one is clearly labeled rear camera. Again, you may or may not have that depending on if you opted for that option. Now, before we go ahead into the vehicle, this middle panel here, this middle section, we want to go ahead and pop that off right now. You can see on the back side, there's just a couple clips that you just have to release and push forward like so, and it'll separate just like that. Go ahead and set this piece aside for now. I don't believe we're gonna need this. So first step is, let's just go ahead and tilt our rear view down just so it's out of our way. And then the middle piece, same as that we just popped off of the new FitcamX, this middle piece, just get your finger up here in the middle, pull down, and you can see that pops right off, okay? We're gonna go ahead and reuse the OEM piece. As you'll see, it's gonna fit the new FitCam surrounding. So that's why I said set that FitCam piece aside. We're not gonna need it. We're gonna use this OEM piece. Now this bigger trim panel here, this is all one piece. There's a clip here and a clip here holding it in place. So what you have to do is, however you want to do it, just push down towards the dash, and those clips are going to slide out of those two spots. Okay, so the two locations, one here and one on the other side, those two red clips, that's the only thing holding that in place. So they slide up in there. That's why you want to kind of just push down towards the hood to get this piece off. Next step is to take these two little red clips off of the OEM piece, take them off their perches. Basically, you just get your fingernail up underneath them and kind of work them off. They're just held in there by two little pieces. Chances are they may go flying, so just be careful. I actually just dropped one, which I'll grab. But we're going to transfer these over to the FitcamX housing, and that way that's what's going to hold the new housing in place. So this is what those little clips look like. Hopefully you can get a look at them. Once you have them off the OEM piece, there's two tabs on the FitcamX piece. You're just going to go ahead and slide them down. You'll feel them and hear them click into place. Should look like that. Next thing we're going to do is install the Y harness to get our power from. Now you can get a hardwire kit for this FitcamX, which will give you the parking option. Right now we're not going to do that. I'm just going to show you how to install this in the box, like with what comes in the box. I am going to do that hardwire kit in the future, so I'll show you guys that down the road. Basically all we're going to do though is take our Y harness. You can't screw this up. You're just going to take the female end. We're going to come up here to the OEM housing, and this plug right here, we're going to unplug that from the vehicle. Okay, once we have that out of the way, we're going to take the white end of our Y harness and plug it into that location until you hear it and feel it clip into place. Then we take our factory connector and plug it into the other end of our Y harness. You'll hear it and feel it click in. Then we could just kind of set that off to the side for now. This is your main camera harness coming down. So now we can take the FitcamX panel, and again, remember the rear harness is labeled rear. So we're just going to plug in the main camera to the other pigtail. You'll feel it click into place. Now the rear camera, I'm going to kind of have coming down here in the middle just so it's out of the way for right now. And we just want to try to install this main piece. So what you're going to have to do is kind of go behind the rear view like so. And those two red clips that I showed you before, they're just going to slide up into their housings. So you kind of have to push it up against the windshield. Make sure all your wires are out of the way. And we could even deal with the wires and tuck them down when we're done. But I'm going to put the main connection there, kind of push it up there, and then push up towards the roof, and you're going to hear it and feel it click into place. Again, just make sure your wire harnesses are not getting pinched anywhere. So once your wires are safely where they need to be, we're just going to go ahead and you'll feel it click back into place with those two red clips on the edges. Once you have that popped back into place, just double check your wiring, make sure it wiggles freely, nothing's getting pinched, and then your rear pigtail, your rear camera pigtail, if you have it, we're going to want to kind of feed it up over to the driver's side. So just gently pull down on the panel so you don't pop it off the clip, and feed it up over in so it's popping out of this upper corner up in there. Okay, and then just kind of leave that hanging for now. Now you're ready to take your little panel and slide it back up there. Now the OEM will work, but it's not sitting perfectly, and if you've been around my channel, you know that's not going to fly well with me. So we are going to use the FitcamX piece. In order to use it on the Sequoia though, we do have to take out that middle section. You can see where it's kind of separated there, so we have to take out this little intersection to make it fit with the Sequoia. The stem of the rear view camera gets in the way. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my Dremel cutoff tool, whatever you have, and just remove this little intersection that's separated with those tabs. All right, so we got that middle section trimmed out. Now it should fit perfectly in the Sequoia. And let's see if this one fits a little bit better than the OEM piece. So we'll slide the bottom tabs in first, and then push it up and clip it in, and I can already tell it does. So what was happening, unfortunately, with the OEM piece, it did work, but it wasn't fitting perfectly. It was kind of bulging out just very, very slightly. Over here, it was a little bit of a gap. I wasn't happy with it. Give the OEM piece a shot. It may be okay with your setup. It's very, very close, but if your OEM piece, if you're not happy with it, go ahead and trim that middle section out of the FitcamX piece, and this one is fitting much better. Front camera's done. We can now move on to the rear. When you take it out of the bag, you're going to be able to see, you can unplug the rear camera from the harness. It comes attached, but just go ahead and unplug the camera itself and set it aside for right now. It's going to make your life easier. You'll see why. The other end, though, that has the white label on it, that's the end that we're going to plug into our pigtail coming off of the main harness. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the zip tie off. We'll take that end with the white tag on it, plug it into our rear camera pigtail. And now you can either start routing this wire now to the back. I'm not going to do that. Let's go ahead and get the rear camera mounted. I'll show you how we're going to get the wiring kind of down through a little grommet that you need to go through, and then we'll worry about getting all this wiring to the back of the vehicle. All right, guys, so here at the lift gate, once you have it opened, we're going to want to pop. You can do this two different ways. You can mount your camera right here. I'm going to mount it here regardless, but you can just leave yourself enough slack and run it down underneath the headliner. That, in my opinion, is the lazy way to do it. We are going to do it the proper way. So what we're going to do is feed it down through this grommet so you can't see any wiring whatsoever. First step is popping this panel off. Just take your trim tool, It's only held in by clips. So just go ahead and pop that loose. Now you can see we have a clear path to get in through here and down through this grommet. So let's separate this from the vehicle. Now the vehicle end of this grommet, what you have to do, it's kind of a two-step process. You're gonna wanna get the rubber boot up off, there's a white plastic piece underneath that you'll be able to see better once I get it off of where it's seated. Okay, you can kind of see how I'm peeling it up off of that white plastic piece. So go ahead and peel the rubber boot off there. So there you can see we have the rubber boot totally separated from this white plastic clip. Now take your plastic pry tool, and there's going to be 4 clips, one on each side, one in the front, one in the rear. So what you're going to want to do is take your plastic pry tool, push in from the side. I don't know if you heard that, but it just released the clip, and kind of work that end up. Come to the front, do the same thing. We're basically just freeing this white plastic clip up from the vehicle. And there you can see, once you have those tabs free, now our white plastic piece is also free from the vehicle, okay? Pull the weather stripping off. Now we're gonna drop the headliner just a little bit there's 2 clips up underneath here. One there, one there. Just get your plastic pry tool and pop those clips out. Once you have those clips free and your headliner's slightly loose, you can grab your rear camera cable that's coming from the front of the vehicle. I don't know if you can see all the way down to the front, but I have that cable coming back here now. Make sure you're on the inside of the weather stripping. If you're on the outside and go up there, you're gonna have to undo it. So make sure you're on the inside of the weather stripping. And what we're gonna do is come up here, just slightly pull down on the headliner. I don't have to tell you, headliners are very kind of sensitive. And we're gonna wanna pop this cable up through this area right here, like so. Okay, now we can go up underneath the white plastic piece and pop it up like that. Pull ourselves some slack. And now what's probably going to be the hardest part of the entire install is just fishing this through this rubber grommet. So you're just little by little, take your time. Don't want to use anything sharp to try to pull this through. You just basically kind of have to wiggle it up through to the other end. All right, guys, that is hands down the hardest part of this whole install. I ended up using my electrical fish. I just protected the end and just very slowly snaked it down through there. But getting this through this rubber grommet, it is kind of a tight fit. Just be patient. It's going to be well worth it in the end because you're not going to see any wiring. So you can see we popped out the other end. The only other thing we did off camera is we did take the rear camera. We fed it down through this hole right in here, and it pops out right here. Okay, so now I already wiped the surface off with alcohol. We're going to remove the double backing tape. We're going to very carefully stick our camera here, and we want to make sure it's nice and straight. So just kind of using that edge as a straight surface. Just make sure we have it nice and even right about there. Just going to keep pressure on it for a few seconds. Now we can take our camera connection, connect it to our cable coming from the front of the vehicle. Leave yourself just a little bit of slack. Okay, you can see where we're at. We have our connection made, just a little bit of slack there. What I'm gonna do is, instead of trying to push this connection down through that rubber boot, I don't want it to come disconnected on me. There's plenty of space up in this gap. So we're gonna take the connected piece here. I'm actually gonna put a little electrical tape on it first to secure it, just to make sure it doesn't come apart and separate anywhere on us. And then I'm gonna take that connection and put it up in this empty gap up here. There's plenty of room up there. That way it's up out of harm's way and really no chance of coming disconnected on us. Now we can take our plastic trim piece and start just kind of getting it in place. Don't push it on just yet until you're happy with where this wire sits. So I'm gonna have it, I want as little wire showing as possible. So we're gonna kind of just do something like that. And then you can hear it pop back into place. Nice and secure. Now this is the only tiny little piece of wiring that's ever going to show right there. We're basically just going to reverse our steps at this point. We're going to take this end of the grommet, get it reseated, and you do want to make sure this is sitting properly and you know you're positioned properly, so there's no chance of rain or moisture or anything. So just make sure the edge of the grommet is sitting where it needs to sit. We can take our white plastic piece, snip it or snap it back down into its location. Like so. You'll hear and feel it snap back into place. Now, this is important. This rubber boot, you want to make sure the bottom lip, if you remember when we removed it, it kind of sits underneath that white plastic piece. From my experience, you do have to put the plastic piece in place first before you put the grommet underneath it, or it's not going to clip in place. You try it however you want to do it. Again, we have the white plate or the white piece snapped back in place. Now I'm just going to take this grommet and just work my way around and make sure I'm getting it underneath. You could even use your plastic pry tool if you want, just to lift up just a little bit. And make sure you get this grommet set back underneath that white piece all the way around. Get it underneath the lip of the white piece. This is how it should look when you're done. No gaps. You could even use this one for comparison. Make sure it looks the same. That way this rubber grommet is totally seated. There's no chance of any rain or any fluids, anything getting down into that wiring. Now, we do have a lot of extra wiring. What we're going to do here is we're going to stop here in the back, head back up to the front of the vehicle and start hiding this wiring. I'll show you how we're going to do it. It's going to be very simple to do. And then whatever extra wiring we have left here in the back, we're going to be able to tuck up above the headliner so it's totally hidden. All right, very easy to do this. You're basically just going to start up here in the front. You're going to you could use your plastic pry tool if you need to pull down like on the front lip of the headliner, but we're literally just going to tuck our wiring up above there. I have a pair of clean gloves on because, again, headliners are very fragile. You can get them marred up and dirty pretty easily. So just working your way across. We're literally just going to tuck this wire up above all the way over. Now, when you get here to the corner, you're just going to tuck it up in that corner, again, up above the headliner. Now, just take it down right below the A-pillar. Again, plastic pry tool may come in handy here just to kind of give it a little shove down in there. When you get to this edge, you can just start tucking it up above this weather stripping. And I'm not going to bore you all the way to the back, but this is literally what we're going to do when we come to the B pillar right here at the back side of the driver door. It's going to be the same thing that we just did at the A pillar. We're going to just tuck it into the corner, get it down behind the pillar, and we're just going to follow this entire process all the way to the back. All right, so once you get to the back corner here where the headliner meets the panel, now this is obviously where we're going to go up above the headliner. So we'll just snake it in this little gap here. And you can see this is the leftover wiring that we're going to end up with. So what I'm going to do is just kind of fold it up so it's nice and neat. We'll zip tie it and then just tuck it up underneath here in one bundle, just making sure it doesn't bulge the headliner down at all. So actually, I don't even know if I'm going to zip tie it. I might just kind of squeeze it through there. And again, there's plenty of room up above there, so you can see that headliner sits nice and flush. It's not bulging down at all. So now all we got to do is take those two plastic clips that we removed, pop them back up through there, replace our weather stripping. Install's complete. We can now go connect to the app, check it out. One other thing I will note real quick, once we get connected and check out the views and stuff, the camera rear view you can spin the camera here if you need to adjust it at all, okay? It does rotate just a little bit. You want the wire coming off the right side like we have it, but just so you know, you can make fine-tuning adjustments once we check the angle and the view. To connect to the app, super easy to do. Just make sure you're going to download the FitcamX app. I'm going to put a screen recording on your screen so you can see what I'm doing on my phone while you watch me as well. So you're going to download the FitcamX app. You can see it there. It's in the middle of my screen to the right. So we're going to click on that. We're going to start the vehicle. You do want to make sure your phone is not connected to the vehicle. So if you have to, go into your settings on your main screen and disconnect your phone. Then we're just going to click on Add Camera. It's going to say connecting. Now I have not done this yet, just so you guys know, so we're doing this for the first time together. Install camera powered on, blah, blah. Okay, next. And select camera. Okay, so it looks like we have to go into our Wi-Fi. Okay, and you can see on my phone screen, there's a car cam. Let's go ahead and connect to car cam. That's got to be the one. Password, I believe, if I remember correctly, is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Hit the check mark. Now that we're connected to that Wi-Fi, we can go back to the FitcamX app, connect to FitCam. Whoops. Okay, I'm sorry. What you saw on the phone there, if that happens, just swipe up and then go back into the app. Once you connect to the Wi-Fi, you should be good to go. So you probably saw what happened on my phone there. So now you can see on my phone screen, we are connected to the FitCam camera. So in here, I'm not going to go over all of these settings in crazy detail. I'll give you a quick look, but if I'm not mistaken, you can obviously, turn the image on your phone from landscape to portrait. I believe there is a way. Again, we're doing this together for the first time. Okay, so the button on the bottom left, right underneath the image, right down in that location, that's how you cycle through if you just want to see the front, the rear. You can have the front as the main screen and then the rear up in the left corner, and then vice versa, the rear camera as the main screen and the front in the left corner. So, and then down here you can in the middle of the screen you can take a picture. That's how you stop and start recording. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Down in the left hand corner, camera files, if you click on that, this is where you're going to see all of your recordings. Now we have been running this for a few days. This is the first time I've connected to the app, but I had a gap in between days of recording because of my work schedule. So you're going to see a whole bunch of recordings in here from the last few days of my wife driving around. But this is where you can go in, you can view all of your clips, all that sort of thing. You can take snapshot photos. Again, we're not going to cover this in crazy detail. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. You can come into the camera settings though. I'll show you what's in there. So at the top of the phone screen, you can see where it says sound recording. I am going to turn that on. Actually, I didn't realize that was off. Again, this is the first time I'm connecting. You can change the resolution. We want to be in the highest, which is that 3840, 2160. The loop record options, this is, if you're not familiar with loop recording, what that does is it records for, as you can see on my phone, whoops, let's go back in there. It records for a set amount of time. So where that comes in handy is if you're going back to review, let's say you're going back to review, I don't know, an hour's worth of footage, trying to find a specific clip. If you have a general ballpark, what it's gonna do is it's gonna take that hour, 60 minutes of footage and break it up into 3. I'm going to set it for 3 minutes. Right now it's set for 1. We're going to go ahead and change that, the loop record options, to 3 minutes. So what that's going to do is that's going to take that 60 minutes of footage and break it into 3-minute clips. So that's what that is. I highly recommend doing 3-minute clips, honestly. I use that on my GoPro when I'm fishing and stuff as well. It's awesome. You can turn the timestamp on and off. Again, you can see the different options that you can mess with. So one thing I'm noticing right away looking at the rear camera, I am going to go back and how I showed you where you can kind of adjust it a little bit. I don't want to see the bottom of the tailgate or the lift gate, so I am going to go back and adjust that real quick. So that's definitely much better. The ability to rotate that rear camera is a nice feature. You can see on my phone image now, I could just barely see the rear windshield wiper at the bottom. The rest is just shooting out the back, getting a nice wide angle. and you know, a pretty good quality image there. So that's how we will wrap this video up, by shooting, or by posting. I'll share with you guys some video of the front camera and rear camera during the day, and also at nighttime, so you can get an idea of the image quality. So yeah, I'll put a couple clips on the screen there, and we'll wrap this up. All right, guys, there you have it. The FitcamX dash cam for the 26 Sequoia TRD Pro. It will work for 23 and up Sequoias. As I mentioned earlier in the video, though, they have this option in dash cam for a ton of vehicles. It's not just a Toyota thing, so check them out if you're in the market. I love the fact that it's super high and tight. It looks OEM. You can't even see the camera when you're in the driver's seat, so I absolutely love the fit and finish. I actually think I'm going to swap over to this in my Tundra as well. We've been running, if you've been around the channel, we did an install on a different dash cam on the Tundra, but I love this one. I think I am going to be swapping over to this. I'll also show you guys that hardwire kit when I do eventually get it, which I will be, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button. It really does help the channel out, and I appreciate it. And make sure to check out all of our channel sponsors and discount codes down below. Questions, comments, or concerns, put them down below. I'll help you out the best I can. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you on the next video.